like to welcome you to BOI Meets Wellness, a podcast that discusses the complexities, celebrations, and challenges of building a wellness ritual as a BOI, a person who is born obviously incredible. You are now listening to BOI Meets Wellness with poet, motivational speaker, and wellness lover, Evolve Benton.
BOI, born obviously incredible, especially when you wear it pretty. Happy Friday, BOI Meets Wellness community. Thank you so much for listening to BOI Meets Wellness. Today's episode is brought to you by Mar Media Productions. Mar Media is a media production company that produces, publishes, and uplifts the stories, art, and journeys of queer and trans people of color and the people who make our lives incredible. This week, I'm sharing my interview with Alex Hutchi. Alex Hutchi is a mediator, a social media agency owner, and a world traveler. The first experience Alex had with meditation was a 10-day meditation retreat. It was the start of their entrepreneurial journey. Alex states, "I became determined to own my time because I was away from my life for 10 days, and that made me realize I had no system in my life to take care of business even when I needed to take a break." Books have played a major role in life for Alex. Books such as Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week, Grant Cardone's 10X, and Gary Vee's Crush It. Today, Alex runs a social media agency and creates online content for brands and companies. Alex believes there needs to be a radical change in how we work and resources available to create content. I met Alex during the Money Magnet program with the Founders Gym. The Founders Gym is the first online trading program specifically designed to help underrepresented tech founders raise money to scale their startups. Over the span of 6 weeks, they provide founders with the information, structure, and accountability needed to level up their fundraising skills and close the gap between where they are and where they want to be. If I could rate my Money Magnet program experience with the Founders Gym, I would totally give it a 9 out of 10. The 3 aspects that I really appreciated was the ability to meet with the accountability group weekly, to build relationships with new entrepreneurs. I actually still meet with my accountability group every week. Shout out to the Rainmakers, that's my team's name. The second aspect of the program that I really appreciated was the in-depth exercises that really required you to investigate your relationship with money. I figured out that I'm worth a lot more than I often charge, which really made me think about it and made my price go up. The third aspect of the program that actually changed my life for the better was that I was able to plan and execute based off of the money that I wanted to make after realizing that I wasn't charging enough. So far, I've been able to acquire, I think, over $10,000 in contracts for speaking engagements, and I was able to hit that goal based off the strategies that I learned in the Money Magnet program. I also just started to have a business plan for my business, and it really supported me to get some grounding. The reason I did give the program a 10 out of 10 is because our sessions with the expert trainers were recorded. While I appreciated the knowledge, I would have loved to be, as they say in Hamilton, in the room where it happened. And I would have loved to have been able to ask questions of some of the expert trainers instead of it being a recording. Other than that, is one of the best pieces of professional development that I've ever paid for. Before we jump into this interview with Alex, I'm going to drop the wellness tip for the week. The wellness tip of the week is to set up boundaries with your time. This tip is actually a reminder for me. I take many consultation calls, as I know many of you do who do coaching and consultation work. And I like to give every call all of my energy, all of my momentum, give them the best of me. I've recently had to teach myself to kind of stick to the script and gather information I need so that I don't go into tangents that end up extending that call. The boundaries are so important because I want to give all my consultation calls the same breadth of energy, and if I overextend on one, I will most likely underperform on another. I'm always trying to find ways to make sure my energy cup is overflowing, and I know that one of the ways my cup is refilled is actually being in space without people. I recharge in silence and with lots of silence and lots of time to myself. So I ask you to investigate your life a bit and think about ways you can set up more boundaries with your time. Remember, time is something we can't get back. BOI Meets Wellness is a podcast that supports you in becoming your most incredible version of yourself, and I hope that this wellness tip supports that. Now for our interview with Alex Hutchi. Hello, world. Welcome to Boy Meets Wellness. It's your boy Evolve. I'm hella excited about today's interview with Alex. Alex, please give us your full name, pronouns, and what brings you joy.
Hey, my name is Alex Hutchi. Pronouns are they, them. And what brings me joy is being able to wake up and do whatever I want every day.
That's real. So what have you been doing in this like COVID-19 time? Like what's your wellness practice? And can you just let the audience know where you're at in the world, like in the country?
Yeah, so currently I'm in St. Louis, Missouri. I actually moved back here from major cities just so I can have more balance of living and pursuing to start a company. About 2 years ago, I started a marketing agency, and it's just been a lot of learning as far as like learning how to be a founder, learning more about my finances, really taking some like extreme ownership over my life. So that's when I got into meditation. So as far as like my wellness routine, meditation has been such a really helpful changing factor in my life. I really enjoy just always knowing that there's time, having more patience, and definitely having a lot more compassion on my journey and with other people, like really listening, and just being open to, what I'm going to learn, and being open to changing what I thought could work, and just finding good mentors, finding good people that I can share the journey with. And yeah, I think now, especially with everything being online, it's great being able to meet other founders and other entrepreneurs online and just have conversations about things at work and things that we're learning. So right now, it's just been a lot of networking, a lot of figuring out what's next in business, moving forward for the rest of the year. Other than that, things are going, and I think that's just the most important thing to keep in mind.
Nice. So on the podcast, we really want to embrace people who are born obviously incredible boys. And I consider you one of those people,
Thank
just from the short amount of time that we've known each other. And I'm always interested in like, who makes your journey incredible? Like if you had a gratitude list, who would be the top 3 people that you would put on there?
Oh, I mean, I'm super thankful for a lot of people, especially when I was getting started. I traveled quite a bit. So just anyone who's given me a ride, bought me a meal, gave me a couch to crash on, like I just give them the utmost like gratitude. Because at the time when I was getting started, I was just kind of like on this mission. I was just like, I got to see the world. The only perspective I had at the time was just like LA and St. Louis. And I was just like, I haven't seen any of the world. I had just finished college out in LA. And at that point, I was just like, I will do whatever job I can as long as it allows me to have the freedom to travel. So, I mean, I was just working like delivery jobs, retail jobs, any job that I could get that was very short term. And then I would just like spend all of that like on the road or just go to a trade show and network. And just doing that for like years on years, it definitely like just started to wear me down. And I think that probably there's some teachers that I would like to thank too, because like I wasn't really an academically strong like student. However, just the relationships that I did have with teachers in the short time that I was in college, just being able to have that perspective that life is so much bigger than the grades that I'm making, and to really guide me on. I had to make a choice. I had to commit. I couldn't be one foot inside the classroom. I had to either be this founder that I wanted to be, or pursue school, finish it, and say that I'm done. So, I mean, I really had to make a big decision. And I mean, that's a big decision to decide if you're going to, do your own thing or go to school the very traditional route, or if you really see school as a resource for you at that time in your life. So getting that sort of like stern talk to be like, look, you're good at something, but you're not great. You suck at a lot of things, but you're going to get better. And just like taking that, like, it's real tough love, and just turning that into what I have today, where I took every opportunity I could to travel. My very first speaking gig was actually in Hong Kong. So I'm like speaking at a conference, and like this is very early on in my career. And I mean, that's when it just all clicked to me. I was just like, wow, the whole world's just like an email and a flight away. And I was just like blown away by that like event in my life. And yeah, I think the other people that I could really thank are the artists that I've met, like just like if celebrity artists, just very well known people in cities, But it's just like no coincidence to meet people who are just at like, the middle top of their game. And they're just like, they're so social. Everybody knows their work and they're known for one thing. And I mean, at the time I felt like I was just like scattered, just doing everything. So it was like really like nice to be in the presence of somebody who just like was known for doing one thing and talked about. I can ask some questions about like how did you scale this? How did you know that this was it? Like what's next? Like how do you still challenge yourself? And it was just like it was a really nice experience to be in that presence and to just sort of be the fly on the wall. Because at the time I was doing photography, so photography was like that key to go anywhere and take photos and ask questions. So podcasts are a great thing too, because it's like you can ask questions to people that maybe you probably would normally get in a conversation, but they see that you're building something. And I think that's, when anybody is putting effort to grow something, they want to be seen, but also they want to like do I'm more like, I just want to do my work. But I'm always thankful for any time that somebody does want to reach out and talk with me about, what their journey that they're on or advice or anything. So I'm just like, yeah, those moments like that really helped me. So I just want to give it back.
So, world traveler, where are the coolest places that you've traveled to thus far?
Oh, I would definitely say like out of the park going to Hong Kong. And then I also budgeted in going to Tokyo.
Wow.
I was like,
How'd you do that? Tell us how'd you do that?
So like the cheapest flights are out of like the hub airport. So I mean, being in St. Louis, it's not like the most popular airplane like fueling station. I should say the hub. So I had to get like real creative with how I was going to find this ticket to go. So there were really cheap tickets from LA to Japan or San Francisco to Japan, because those are routes taken very frequently by business people. So I was able to find a flight that got me to, got myself to Hong Kong. And then once you're in the region, you could find like better travel deals, and then bought a second leg of the flight and then bought another one to get back home. And so I just kind of like pieced together. I remember when I was buying the whole, the trip, I pretty much just bought one-way tickets until I like had enough cash to like pay for the whole trip. And then finally, when I bought all the flights, I was like, okay, anything else that I make now is just for me to eat and sleep and just like keep going. And I mean, this was like first time out of the country. I'm going solo. I'm speaking at this conference. Like there was just so much like new stuff going on that I was just like, I'm just trying to get there and back. So going to Tokyo, I had to get that in there because that flight is long. So while you're there, try to see as much as you can. And I was in Tokyo for like, I think I was just there for like 4 days. Every day I woke up, I was so excited and just like walked to every neighborhood that I could go to. And Tokyo is like really big. I didn't even like catch the train because I was just like, well, I'm just going to walk just so I can see the neighborhoods. And it was great. I mean, it made all the manga and anime that I watched growing up just like make sense. I was like, I can see why you have like all these like interesting stories, because there's just there's so many people and they're all like really polite, and everyone like that would come by would like, make sure I knew where I was going, because obviously I look like I'm visiting. And it was just fun. It was just like really cool. And I was just like, I think Tokyo is definitely one of those cities that when you go, bring a friend, because it's definitely like a place that I would have liked to have been like with someone to share that memory. So I mean, I definitely want to go back. Like it's a fun place.
Nice. So you and I met during the Founders Gym Money Magnet program, which was really, really cool. For folks who are listening, I definitely would suggest it for anyone having any type of doubt or I think imposter syndrome about money and any blockage on abundance coming your way. So how did you get involved with Founder Gym? Because I think it's just so interesting, the work that you do with them. Can you just tell us a little bit more about that journey?
Yeah, Twitter. Twitter was that connection for me. I think I saw just like an online event, like always, and I signed up for it. And at the time, I didn't know of like the Founder Gym brand. I was just looking at, this is a speaker that is, going to give some value, and it was Mandela's like Twitter. And then like saw Paige's Twitter, and then already at the time, I was already networking a lot in Portland. So like when I saw like Paige, I was like, oh, she must live in Portland. I'm like, that's awesome. I'll follow her too, because I'm hoping to go there as soon as like, COVID's. I hope it. Yeah, like this was back in March. I was like, oh, summer's gonna come by. COVID's will be gone. I'll be in Portland. It'll be a great great summer vacation. And I was like, wow, like, no, still haven't made it there to visit. And so I'm at this webinar, and at the end, Founder Jim Money Magnet was pitched. And I was just like, I'm not doing anything right now as far as like not leaving the house. I'm just figuring things out. Like invest, like invest in yourself to be a part of something, to support something like Founder Jim, to exist for future groups to come. And I think that's important too. Like sometimes spending money on things is just an investment of, hey, I just want to see this community exist. And in return, like I also got to meet a lot of great founders like yourself. And it's great just having like an accountability group to check in with every week. And at the time when Money Magnet, the first round started, wow, like we experienced a lot in this country. And just I ended up being the like one of the hosts for After Dark, which is like after the office hours, we chat just like kind of unscripted, afterwards. And I just kind of first started by I volunteered once, and then the second time I'm doing it, and then third time. And so 6 weeks go by, the whole program, and every night I've showed up and just brought the energy, created the space, and people really appreciated that. And that really meant a lot to me, because I was just like, wow, like I've never like done anything like this, like hosted a group or spoken in front of a bunch of people that, obviously wasn't like for a professional like event or anything. And it was just like I was able to really like meet people and talk with them outside of that, and to get advice and to hear where they're at in their journey. And I really appreciate that. Like I appreciate when anybody puts effort to bring people together, because it's not easy. It's like they're on a birthday party every week. Like, it kind of felt like that. And I just think it's really cool that the Founder Gym had such access to so many speakers that, I probably would have had to go to a conference to hear them speak, or probably would have not heard this conversation behind closed doors. And I think that's what really, started to appeal to me. I was just like, wow, like they're all people too, and they're doing these incredible things. And it just, you start to think like after those 6 weeks, because it's like business is 99.9% about mindset. You just start thinking like, I can do this too. Like I can do this. Like there's nothing that they're not doing that I could not do, or systems that I could not put in my life to make that happen. So I think that the real transformation actually happens after those 6 weeks, when all that new stuff kind of hits you, and then you're conducting business and you're talking, you're having meetings, and then you hear yourself like, thinking bigger, or you hear yourself like planning more, or you set time to like, reach a personal goal. And you're just like, wow, like 6 weeks ago, I probably wouldn't have not, challenged myself to do this or hold myself accountable. So I think that having that sort of experience, it kind of shows you like, I can do something, I can finish something. And I think that, once you kind of finish high school, really, there's nothing really like, there's no deadlines, there's no finishing things. So having sort of a little structured group like that really, can really, do some wonders if you haven't really challenged yourself lately. So
I really appreciated the program. I love the accountability groups. I thought that was the best aspect of it, because I've done a few online courses and I think I've made it through most of them. I get my money's worth, but there's something about that accountability group that makes you dive in a little bit deeper.
Yeah, I really like the meeting pretty much twice a week. And I think that really helped translate the in-person experience that you possibly would have had to online. So I think they did a great use of technology. And I think a lot of people right now are doing a lot of great use of technology by having separate groups that people are in, such as Slack or Telegram, any groups that are out there. And also having like video and FaceTime with people, or pairing people with one another. Because I think that's, at the end of the day, life is about people. And I think that it's great to be able to connect with people that, to be honest, it's like, wow, this is like great, because I'm like, I used to have to go to conferences to meet a lot of the people that I have been meeting. But it's like now it's like I'm on Twitter, I meet people, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm meeting people. And it's just like that whole barrier is like kind of, lowering a lot, because it's like, wow, now I can just reach out to somebody and, just connect with them or give them value, or just over time, you build up a connection with them, especially on Twitter, because it's like you'll follow a bunch of people, and then eventually somebody will follow you back, and because you have something, because you've been talking with them. Like, that's the thing. It's just like being social. Social media is about being social. So, you can just get on there and just watch people live their lives. But it's like, if you contribute like stuff that's going on in your life, and then compliment other people in their lives, like, it builds some connection that, one day when you can meet with them in video or in person someday, it's kind of nice. It's like, you've been chatting online forever, and now you're finally meeting, and it's just like, you don't skip a beat. It's like you've always had.
It's like friends. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Yeah. I love that feeling when you meet someone you've been like, oh, wait, did I meet you before? Wait, no, we've only
Yeah, no, it's just like you've just been online. And I mean, I've had instances like that, especially when I travel, where I have been on, like, I may have gone to a city, especially when I was traveling all throughout Europe. There were people that I was following just from social media that, I just genuinely had a connection with them. And I was just like, hey, I'm visiting like your city, or I can come, especially because like Europe, I love their sense of transportation. It's so easy to just like migrate going from like city to city. So I'd be like, hey, like, it's just a 2-hour bus ride. And I mean, 2 hours, like, that's ridiculous. That's so far. But I'm like, look, I just caught an 8-hour flight. So catching a 4-hour bus to come visit you, why not? So I was able to meet people that I was connected with on my social media, and just like pretty much like seeing where they're from, or like seeing where they experience every day. It's just like, especially like in another language too, I'm just like, wow, like, this is so cool. Like, the internet pretty much connected us, and it's so neat to just like see someone's like every day that, to them, they're probably just like, yeah, this is just like where I live. But to me, I'm just like, this is so cool. Like, this is just so different than what I see every day. So it's great. Like, art connects us all. So it's really cool to have met other artists and to see other people's workspace and eat where they eat and all kinds of stuff. So
you're dropping all the gems. You said art. What did you say? What was that?
Oh, art connects us all. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It
So
does.
art,
It really does. Art, I say art, love, and, human connection, right? Like, people keep trying to tell me, like, how can I make this online experience better? And I'm like, I think you're trying to make it a human. It'll never be human, right? Like, it's great, but it will never be what we had in person. So instead of us trying to make that, let's just create the new, right? Like, let's just like settle into the new.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've just entered this era of like, it's now a digital handshake. Most of my connections, and I mean, this even goes back to like MySpace. Most of my social interactions in my lifetime have been digital, meaning that I've connected with you online in some sort of circle, or I know I've seen you in somebody else's social media, and now I'm finally meeting you. So it's not like you're completely new, or I should say there will be some form of connection if I were to connect with you online. But I think it's just like, it's not that like, I just think of it as like, it's not like people are complete strangers. It's just, I haven't met them yet. And it's like, I may meet you and a whole bunch of people know about you. And it's like, now I know about you. And I think it's just like, all it takes is just one connection at a time. And I mean, this is coming from somebody who's like, I was actually like really like shy, or just like, didn't feel like I really could connect with people. And one day I just made a point to change that. I was like, you know what? I don't want to be like shy all my life, or I want to be able to feel like I have people who get me, or like the same stuff that I do. And I just started with like, if I can just introduce myself to one person, and maybe ask for their number, even if I don't call them, just start doing that. Just get used to like being that person that's like, oh yeah, we should connect, we should hang out, and like, get better at actually following through with those plans. But I mean, it just really kind of helped me out socially, because I was just like, okay, if I don't, especially because when I was traveling by myself, I realized I was like, okay, if I don't speak up, like no one will know like what I want, or where I want to go, or what I want to do, or what I'm looking for. And I think that I applied that same experience into business, where I was just like, okay, where do I want to go? Like, when you buy a flight or a destination, you have a destination. Well, what plans are you going to need in between? So just learning how to, I think it's for all of us. And I think this was what makes communication so like hard, is you're translating all the thoughts that are in your brain to words to talk to someone else, who then translate all that you're saying in their brain and then try to respond back to you. So yeah, miscommunications are a thing. And because like, we're all thinking like, we all have our own thoughts. And I think that's just what makes it like fun to talk. But also like, sometimes I can get really burnt out, and I just accept that too. And it's still a part of me. It's just something that I navigate through. And I've met a lot of incredible people who are like, pretty social, but also recharge on their own. So yeah, it's interesting.
It's so important to recharge. So, as a founder, tell us about your business, right? Like, where did you get this bug to want to start your own business, and why did you decide a social media or a social agency, and what is that, right? So, I guess that's a
Yeah.
three-part question. Like, what gave you the bug? What is it that you actually do, and where did this all start?
Yeah, so I was reading the book 4 Hour Work Week. I think many entrepreneurs have started with either Tim Ferriss or some entrepreneur, pick your guru online, pick one. So I was reading 4 Hour Work Week, and the term digital nomad was like kind of planted in my head, and I was yeah, like the internet's not going away. Why not figure out how to make a career around it? And I had explored like other businesses. Like I was doing menswear for a while, and just having that like inventory of clothes. I was just like, no, this isn't it. Like I don't want to have like stuff. So then I moved on to like, okay, I'm going to be like minimal and like figure out a business this way. And I think the first thing that I really set a milestone for myself was that I want to figure out how can I accomplish working only 9 months out of the year. So that means 3 months I could travel. So that was like just my first goal. And I mean, that's the thing about like when you start a business or if you have an idea, set yourself some goals, set yourself some yardsticks that you measure yourself, not someone else. And I mean, at the time, like, yeah, figuring out the financing of that's something that I had to learn over time. Because I mean, yeah, when you're getting started, it may not all add up. It may just happen and you're just like, ooh, how did I even, looking back, I'm just like, how did I afford those 7 international trips? I don't know, but it happened. I did it. It's just like one of those things you just look back and you're like, I did it. I'm going to do some more. But I mean, when you get started, the most thing is just get the momentum, get going. And I mean, this was at the time where I was just like, I didn't know anyone. I needed to learn how to do something really well. And more importantly, find people who can coach me through this, like help me get better or give value or figure out like who I can work with so that I can see how this is supposed to be. So obviously for me at the time, it was like, okay, social media, like just be a social media agency and figure out what I need to do. So at the time, how I got started was I was actually driving for Instacart. So really good gig job. So definitely part of the gig economy. I was driving for Instacart and I loved it because I mean, for 8 hours a day, I was listening to podcasts all day, just filling my mind with like positivity and mindset and just listening to other people win. And I mean, that's the fun part. When you listen to other people win, you start thinking like, I can win too. And there's enough win out there for all of us. So, I mean, with that in mind, I just started to think about, well, what's going to be the next step after this? Like, I need to learn how to do this. So towards the end of the year, everything goes on sale, like, Black Friday, you got the end of the year deals. And so a lot of course creators were selling their courses for like, very affordable prices for you to just buy their course. So that's what I did. I saved up, I bought a social media course, and then I started to watch this in addition to apply for jobs and internships and just anything that I could to get myself some experience. So I ended up networking a lot with a lot of agencies in St. Louis and just started to figure out like, okay, they're not doing that much different than what I'm doing, which is just going out, finding clients, hiring people to fulfill the work. And the more that I kind of just like put myself to see the operations, I was just like, I can do this. Having a job to help me figure out how to just, make it month to month is possible. And more importantly, it's just like, how can I learn the strategy on scaling the company or meeting people who can afford to pay you the prices that you want to go? And really just start reverse engineering everything that I can intend that I would want to get. And I think that's just when things started to kind of come together. I was like, wait a minute, like if I want to just similar how I wanted to do 9 months of working, 3 months of travel, and I reverse engineer that whole thing to make sure in those 9 months I was working as if I was spending a whole year's worth of expenses. I was like, I can do this. It's just different variables. Same thing I've already done. So I think by just normalizing this new challenge into something that I've already done, it gave me more confidence to be like, I can figure this out. It might take me a little bit longer. However, it's still not completely like, I've never done this before. Like, heck yeah, this is the same as any other thing. Just, it's only different because it's new. But yeah, the more that I kept putting myself in like harder, newer situations, it just kind of like forced my brain to be like, don't freak out, just do it. Same thing we've always done. Yeah.
That's
So I
so
think,
cool.
yeah.
That's so cool. So when you work with clients in particular, are you working with them like you're adding content to their social media? Are you doing more of the branding side of it? And who is your ideal client?
Wow. So technically my title is like media planner, media buyer. So what I focus on are companies spending ad spend? And if they are, how much of that should go into the ad machine and come out as revenue? And then you plan the content around your audience. So what is your audience searching for on Google? What are they looking at on YouTube? What social media platform are they on? So I really love doing like business to consumer products because I think it's great to see the reactions of like people buying new stuff and how excited they are and taking photos and making videos. And then I really enjoy like B2B as well because I think it's more about sharing your storytelling, having conversations with like being in the room or on the Zoom with their founders who are investing into their companies, and just hearing those conversations of what does the business logic think about marketing, and then what does the company feel about marketing, and then there's myself, which is just advocating for the latest techniques or really figuring out how can I understand where they're at in their business now and how social media is going to grow that. And so a lot of it is, I think the one thing about being a social like media agency, I'm constantly like excited to learn something new. Like I really loved, chatbots. Those are like probably one of my favorite conversion methods. Mini Chat is one of my favorite chatbot platforms, and they have a ton of resources out there and a great Facebook group. And so
What is chatbot? Can you tell our
yeah.
community?
So
And also, what is B2B business? Because I know that this is stuff that
yeah.
the everyday person just doesn't hear.
Yeah. So business to business. So sort of like Salesforce being sold to a car auto dealership. That's a B2B sale because it's a business that is sold just for the purpose of small business owners or medium or enterprise level. They're using those products. And they're obviously at a different, they're going to have different use cases for how they're going to use that product. And what I find them to be the most interesting is the fact that you can have a very automated experience, but then you can also have a conversation through texting. And if you're trying to reach like the busy professional or somebody with a quick question, why not just text that in, just text the company. And especially too, if you have processes in your businesses that are very frequent, such as appointment setting or questionnaires, instead of them being this long form, why not just turn it into a text conversation, like a couple tweets back and forth, and there you go. Now I know where you're at in your business when it comes to your social media. I get an idea of your ad spend. I can get an idea of who you aspire to be on social media. And more importantly, it's a fun, interactive way to show you the services that I do. So with messenger marketing, it just became more of how can I have a conversation with the audience that I'm seeking to reach, but make it as efficient, so short as possible, but then also as easy as possible. So if you have the background of writing newsletters, articles, emails, like copywriting, just writing, if you're a writer, messenger marketing is just like take those long form that you're doing and just make it shorter, 2 sentences. And there you go. That's messenger marketing. So it wasn't, I think companies like Mini Chat, they made that possible for marketers like myself who were like, well, I'm not going to put 40 plus hours to learn how to code. However, I can use this software that they've built to have a business around it. And I think that's what makes a lot of people in the marketing industry very unique, because they'll pick a product and they'll create their business around it and provide that value in the community, in addition to bring value to the clients that they're working with. So an ideal client for me, I love gaming. I love esports. I think where the future of it is going right now with players being able to brand themselves in both uh, like sports and esports. I think that it's definitely something, I should say it is something that I had an interest on for a while. And it's just being patient because it's such a new, well, I should say it's been around for a while, but it's very new as far as just like, well, how are brands trying to monetize off of this? How are players trying to make money? And it's until recently that you've heard about like YouTubers who are gamers making like these crazy amounts of money. And it's just like, it's like I wish I would have like had a time machine to go back and meet that genius who said like gaming, I can make money on that, and then just like just stayed by their side and watched them do that, because that's essentially what it is. It's just like America's biggest export is entertainment. So when you think about it, esports is definitely right up there, and a lot of the games that are made with the microtransactions that make money, like what's a really like, yeah, Fortnite, you buy extra things to level up. I personally like Supercell. It's one of my favorite mobile game apps, but once again, you can buy things to level up. And it's interesting because like I realize like a lot of the players that I watch on live stream, they just have like all the best cards, the best decks, the best like teams, and then they're gaming against like other really competitive players that they put in hours on this game. But it's just it's a spectator sport. It's just the same as watching football. Instead, it's like video games and sound effects and points and teams. So I think like to work with a esports, like either an esports team or an agency or a product that services players, that would be like just a dream come true. Because I'm like, I love gaming. Right now, everybody's at home gaming right now, so it would just be great to be a part of like a really cool campaign or a launch that's like, yeah, I hope get that out there.
That's so cool. I remember when we were younger, they were like saying, like, you ain't gonna make no money playing them video games. And now it's like, actually, I could have been balling. Like, you should just let me play the game. I could have skipped geometry. I've never used it. I still have not used geometry. I'm always mad about that class. I'm like, what do we need it for?
Right. But if you can kick my butt in Street Fighters, I'm definitely gonna be like, you know what? That's cool.
So how does the company make money, right? Because I know that's what people are thinking about here, our community. We're all about money mindset and motivation here on the podcast. How does your company make money?
That's a good question. So there are parts of social media that you can get paid from doing content. So when I first got started, I was a photographer. So I was really focused on like content creation. And essentially it's just like, anyone can take a photo, right? But where you really start to brand yourself and create the value is that you have a lifestyle attached to this photo. So not only was I just taking like photos, but I was taking film photos of a very distinct like micro culture in California, in Los Angeles. And it's really interesting because it's like at the time, like these were just people that I just met while I was out and took their photo and they liked them. And so they invited me out again and again. But it's like the more that I was able to showcase what they were doing and up to, it caught the attention of brands. And if at the time, if they were talking to like music labels or anything like that, they would have sort of this proof of like, this is my life. This is my culture. This is what I'm building. And that's really where, I should say, I didn't think of myself as a photographer when I got started. Cause I mean, it was just living in LA. I'm just trying to eat, trying to go out, going out gets expensive. Okay. Like it gets expensive in LA when you're going out like every night. So you got to get creative. But I should say, I didn't realize that my photos were good, like until people started to steal them. Like meaning like I'm getting invited to photo shoots and not getting paid. I'm going through like all kinds of like really weird, sketchy, like, threats and stuff like that. But it just kind of got kind of weird. I was like, wait a minute, if people are going to this length just to get a photo from me, I might be onto something. Like I might have like an eye for this. And so, I mean, I just kind of got smart. I figured out, well, what are the metrics that these companies are looking at to get these influencers. And so I started to get really interested in like influencer marketing. And at the time, I mean, this was like sort of getting started. So if you wanted to charge like, I don't know, $1,000 to post for 4 hours, you could do that because there was nobody else to compare it to. If that was your rate, that was your rate. So, I mean, I just ran with it. I was like, cool, I'm going to do like Instagram takeovers, Snapchat takeovers. I'm going to go, is it any place that I want to go to? And I mean, I just started to like just travel and just get clothes and just like all kinds of like just stuff, you know. But at the end of the day, it was like the more that I learned about the business, which is really the data and the email list, that's where I really started to see like that's where really the money is. Because when you build an online community and you have something digitally to leverage, either like a really good Facebook pixel that you know that if you drop a product in there, people will buy it, or an email list that, you know, if you write a newsletter, people will engage with whatever you're writing, or you got a podcast, create something that when you do X, Y happens. And then find a brand that you either want to purchase or be a part of what you're doing, and just have a conversation with them. Be like, what do I need to do to be one of your top creators in order to have access to your products? And with content, and when you're making something, the more access that you have to the latest things, the more eyes you're going to get. So, I mean, who wouldn't want the latest Apple product possible? Because everybody who's looking up what's new is going to find you and look at you and see like, whoa, like this person's getting like all the best stuff. And I think that, you know, if you like to be creative and be in front of the camera, that's a really good route. What I really enjoy is more of the technical side. Like I love like setting up websites, making sure all the header tags are being read so Google can find you. Like SEO is a long game. You know, you're going to start posting. It's going to take some time to find the right keywords. But I mean, that's the thing. Like social media, there's a lot of ways to, I guess, make money in it. It's just finding what suits you at the moment in your life, in your journey. So, I mean, if you really like making content and being social, then I would say like do that in social media because people will pay you to do that. If you're like being more technical and working with like having less turnover of people, then find something that you can really stick around with a business and create value over time, or create value from having a better like sales funnel that you're building or higher conversion rates. And the more that you understand the metrics, you know, that really makes you valuable. So that's a little of my journey of how I like started to make money with this, and then reskilled, like put that back into learning more, started speaking to like actual people who are doing the job as media buyer and agency owner, and just learn from that. Like, you know, that's always been my thing. It's like, if I can see it, I can do it. And but the trick is to get yourself in a position to see it. So, I mean, living in LA was that experience. I was around a lot of influencers, a lot of like music artists and celebrities and things like that. But I mean, those are like kind of the top content creators. I don't know if you want to put it that way, but I think you can be anywhere and create content. It's just how relevant are you, if that's your thing. So, I mean, if you want to do pop culture, I think you can do it anywhere, to be honest. I mean, bring Hollywood to you, especially now with all the level of production that you can create in home. So, I mean, just learn every part as you can. Like, yeah, learn as much as you can about every part and just come up with a system. So, I mean, by making content, it came down to like, all right, I can spend like 4 to 10 hours making content and I get paid for a whole like month's worth of work. I was like, that's not bad. You know, just starting doing the math, I was like, that's not bad.
That's hella dope. I'm so proud of you, Alex. Like,
Thank you.
how do you feel about where you are now? Like, where do you sit with that when you think about your journey?
I mean, I just keep working until I keep working and keep working. But I've learned to kind of like sit back and like sip from the cup of success, just to be like, it's okay to pat myself on the back for a moment and really acknowledge like I did something good, and not constantly have that inner critic of like, I could have done better, you know, because like when I was like getting started with everything, I had such a harsh critic, and that really wore me down, like emotionally, and really affected how much I could show up for people. Because there's always that inner critic of like I'm not that good, or like I could be better, or there's other people who are better. But I mean, that's the thing. There's always going to be someone who can take a better photo than you. There's always going to be someone who has more gear than you, or, has more of whatever. But I should say, and what I discovered, it was not that. It was just the fact that the people I was meeting liked having me around. And I think that's something that, if you're around and you do a good job, that's something that I realized. I was like, okay, I'm going to focus on those two things, just be around and do a good job. And then when that kind of like, when I move on past that, or when it's just no longer there, then that's that. That's business. Like you did I did my job, or I wasn't very good at that, or I could be better at this, or I'll be better in someplace else. And I think it's just finding where you fit. And I think that's just something that I look back on and I'm just like, I could have enjoyed myself a little bit more. However, I was very hard on myself because I was just like, if I just slack, like that means everything else will slack. But it's like, that's not the case. I'm doing this because like I'm getting closer to like the source of what it is I could be doing. And I think once you move in sort of I really like this book. I think it's like called Flow State or something like that. But it's a book that when I read it, it was just kind of like, in life, you have a lot of choices. However, what your brain wants you to get towards and what you're really seeking is like that flow state of what can you be doing that just naturally comes to you. And I think I really had to focus on, when I was getting started, what are 2 things that I can do? And I think that's a great place to get started. If you are listening to this, you're trying to figure out, well, where should I start? Just focus on 2 things. Like I focused on, I can take photos and I meet people. So how can I position myself to do just that? And I mean, I have some pretty interesting stories of just like the synchronicity. I would definitely say the photo on my Instagram of me taking a photo of Big Sean, that has the funniest story. And I mean, that's the best part about doing
Tell us the story.
Yeah.
Come on, tell us the story.
Yeah.
And I love Big Sean. Like, stick to the
He's a
plan.
really cool dude. Yeah, he's a really cool dude. So one day, this music artist reached out to me. It was like, hey, what are you doing tonight? You want to go out? And I'm just like, yeah, sure. Like, let's go out. I don't remember what day it was, but like, so I'm going out, and I'm not sure what I was doing during the day. However, I had to like Uber or catch the bus. I don't know. Like any way that I got there, I came from my day events, and now it's like the night, because like LA is definitely like daytime LA, nighttime LA. 2 different worlds. So it is nighttime, and I arrive at this club. And if there's one thing about going to clubs, if you're not there when your table is walking in, you're left. This goes for Miami, LA, New York. Like if you're not there when I said that we need to walk all in, I don't know what to tell you. You just not making it in that night. So I mean, it's literally just me, my camera, and my phone at this point. And I'm trying to text my friend who's obviously having a blast right now, and I'm just like, okay, I'll get in there. Yeah, like I'm on my way. And okay, so here's where the magic happens. I'm standing by one of the bouncers, and the door just flings open, right? And it's my friend. And I'm like, well, it's the artist. And I was like, wait a minute. She's like, sees me like squinting because it's dark. She's like, you, hey, you, like, and then tells the bouncer, like, bring this person in, like, come. And so I'm like, I'm in. I'm like, how about that? And she's like, good timing. And I was just like, couldn't have planned it better. But I mean, it was just the fact that I had walked by the door because she was trying to find the exit to like get some fresh air, and walked to the front and saw me and was like, oh yeah, come on in. So I'm inside. And like, okay, so I didn't know that this was a Big Sean event because my friend just said, oh, we're going out. And I mean, when you go out in LA, like, who knows? It could be something big, small, big, like, you never know. It's like you go out because you like to go out. So I'm out, and I'm just like, oh, like, this is Big Sean's album release party. So like, they're playing his music, the projections on the wall. Like, it's cool. It's not like crowded or anything because it's like supposed to be an intimate thing. And he sings some song, like he raps some songs. It's fun. Like, it's a fun night. So I'm like here, and I'm like, I get to take photos. I take a photo of him, and like take a photo of like the artist and him together. And I'm just like, oh, okay, this is really cool. And then I'm like just walking around like the crowd, and I'm taking photos. And I took a photo of this one blonde chick who had like, some glasses on and a hat on. She was kind of like, just cozy, but cool. And I was like, oh, can I get your photo? Like, you just look really cool. So I snap her a photo. And like this has a story behind that photo. And so then I'm there and I'm like just talking to like Big Sean's people, and like it's pretty cool because I'm just like, well, this guy like obviously rolls with the crew. What does he do? So we exchange like, Instagrams and stuff like that. So the thing about shooting on film is that I have to get all these developed. So of course I have to get someone's point of contact in order to exchange these photos. So I was able to, I'm now like, okay, I got these photos on film of Big Sean. I'm just like, what? It's amazing. And then like out of the corner of my eye, I saw like Janae Aiko and Karuchi hanging out. And I was just like, oh, that would have been such a cool photo. But I wasn't about to like leap over some stuff. Like, heck no, don't be creepy. So, I mean, that's the thing. Like if you're going to be in the photo or just entertainment or whatever, don't do stunts that are going to get you in the creep category. Like, just don't do it. Just be cool because you're going to meet them at some point. And like, it's just like, it makes a funny story. But anyway, I saw that they were there and I was just like, wow, like that, what a night. Like, I was just like, what a night. And so when I get the photos developed, and it wasn't until like years later that I'm looking, like after I gave everybody their photos, it wasn't until years later that I was looking at these photos. And I had met Danny Lay at the Big Sean's event, which makes sense because Danny Lay and Big Sean, they make music or mentor or mentee situation. I had a photo of freaking Danny Lay before she was like Danny Lay. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like talk about having an eye to just spot people out of the crowd. But like, I just kept getting like wins like that all the time, everywhere I went. Like I even took a photo of like Playboy Cardi. Didn't even know until somebody else was like, yo, like that's Playboy Cardi in that V-Long. I was like, I just thought he had a cool hoodie. So I've had like many stories like this where it's just like, I just see someone who has like a look about them. Either they low-key were a model or they're a music artist or something, but it's just something about like when I'm there and I'm looking for people to photograph on film, it's like a lot of times it's just like all of those photos that I've taken, I had to ask, can I take their photo? There isn't a photo in there that I've just candidly shot because that's not my style of photography. But I think that what really made the photos like what people really liked about them when they saw them of themselves, they were just like, wow, like this is a good photo of me. Like, because I asked and you were ready for it. And we took this photo. And so every photo has like a conversation. I can almost remember everyone's name or something. So facial recognition. I can definitely remember your face if I've taken your photo. It's just, I don't know, it's just something about my brain. But that was just a fun night. And like, there's so many other just fun stories, like being once I was late for work for leaving a music video set with Wiz Khalifa. That was probably the funniest moment of my life because like here I am getting.
Did Wiz get you stoned?
No. I was very professional. I had to go to work right after that, and Ty. Well, I met Ty Dolla $ign at some other event. It was still the same music video, but I'll never forget getting chewed out at my retail job. Like I was getting just like I was like, you're always late. Like, stop being so late. And in my head, I'm just like, I just took a photo and hung out with Wiz Khalifa on set of this awesome music video with a bunch of cool models. We're on the beach. I'm just like, I'll take this. Like pick your battles. Like pick your battles. I could have been like, rah, 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 flex, but I wasn't. I was just like, you know what? I'm sorry. I will do better. Put on my work uniform and just did that shift, because I was just like, look, life is just so much bigger.
They didn't know the magic, Alex. They didn't know the magic that you had just experienced. That's how sometimes it is. People don't understand that other side, and a lot of times employers, right? Like they don't see you as a full person, and that's
all right. Cool. I mean, they're doing their job. That's just what at the end of the day they're doing their job, and like it's just one of those things where it's just like I realized very early on I wasn't a job clocking kind of person. So I had to get creative with finding work that I could do that wasn't, I don't know, as strict with that type of thing. And I mean, you have to pick your battles. It's one of those things that, is it worth it? I should say jobs like that have high turnover for a reason. Because it's like, they could hire someone else, but I mean, don't live your life living that way or else you won't keep a job. Okay. Like, come on, like be smart, but still understand like, you have a responsibility. And at the time that was my responsibility going to this retail job and working, and I was just like, I wasn't being as responsible as I could be. And I'm like, you know.
You're like, my bad. So what are
Yeah.
some of the projects you're working on now, and how can our community support that?
Yeah. So currently I'm still focused on like agency life and bringing agency clients in. It's been great to talk with either startups, founders, enterprise level companies, or even small business owners and just giving advice. I love to think of workshops. So I'm always thinking of ideas of how can I bring people together and have them actually do something, not just watch me talk all day. Like, no, like let's work together on a project that you may have been stuck on. So reach out to me on my social media if you are working on your own social media and just want some guidance with it. I like to do group coaching. On the bigger stuff, I'm really focused on like right now, sort of like what's going to be the future of office culture because even my sales cycle has completely changed because I'm no longer calling offices. Now it's like I'm reaching out to individuals. So, I'm really into like the new office culture. What is that going to look like? How, as an agency owner and as a brand, am I going to be able to help brand these companies and make a social community online and manage it now that the team itself is now everywhere? So, I think that the future of like co-working, I want to be a part of that. I think that's like something I'm really passionate about because I've made kind of like the world my office. And I would love to have an opportunity to really make some impact on, company culture. I think right now too, diversity and inclusion is really important and more people are speaking up and talking about, how to create environments that can facilitate having other cultural backgrounds all work together. So yeah, that's kind of like what I've been focusing on now. A lot of meeting people. So I should say a typical week for me is like meeting people, doing podcasts, writing articles, but also just like reflecting on what's the state of everything and really looking at instead of like being like, why is this all happening? I'm looking at like, how can I join this conversation or how can I start a conversation and bring people together who may feel the same way? So yeah, some open air co-working is definitely going to be like the future, just like this whole like digital rise of the digital nomad, the rise of the weekend entrepreneur. I think that's all like emerging right now because we're all starting to see like, having a job's great, but have you tried running your own side hustle, your own business? So I think we're going to get a lot more people are going to accept that people are going to have multiple sources of income and they're working towards, finding something stable, but also spending as much time as they can to build something else. And so I'm excited. I'm excited for, what the future has to hold for all of us. And I think that, the people who are really going to make the most impact are the ones who are like listening and the ones who are giving advice that it's like practical that people can apply and use. And it's great to hear like stories from people that probably didn't have a platform or speaking up on what it's really like to have their job. And I think it's all just right now, like we all have different jobs and we're all a part of this right now. Like no one's not affected by this. So it's really interesting that we all kind of have
project.
we all kind of have a common thing. Like, we're all working from home right now. We're all we're all like just taking things to the next level. But it's going to be really exciting to just see new industries emerge, new work study type things emerge to give opportunities to people that want to get into tech or something social media. And that's the thing. I think right now there's just so much knowledge on YouTube. And the best thing is to just develop that self-discipline to consume it and ask questions and show up for these virtual events that people are putting together. Cause it's like, that's where like all the magic is happening, all the virtual events. I'm just like, wow, like I'm networking and meeting people once again that I probably didn't know that I had something in common with, or I'm learning something from a founder that lives in a different state that I probably didn't know, like that they own that company.
And you can meet people from around the world now, right?
Yeah,
Like you don't have to go to that place. I think that that's so cool about these virtual events and these experiences we have.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about future because you're in the future already there. What are you manifesting? Let's manifest together right now. Where do we see Alex in the next 5 years? What are you manifesting?
Wow, 5 years. In the next 5 years, I would love to be working more with like esports and wellness and like type of industries. It's for me, it's really like one big one big pivotal moment in my founder journey was going for a 10-day meditation, like 10 days of silence, 10 days of like away from my life. And that for me was like the catalyst of like, oh my gosh, I need to change everything about my life because I don't even have time to take a break. So I think that something that would really make my like existence really meaningful is knowing that I have a really highly functional business, but then I also can have a company culture that allows the people who are working with me a time to relax, or just normalizing that breaks are a part of the process for creating something new or creating something innovative. And always just like, I should say, always just being like on the frontier of trying to change things. It can get exhausting. Like you got to take a break. And I think that more people are, wanting to make a change, and we don't just get burnt out. We just get burnt out because it's like, man, it's hard to just always try to make a change. But then there's also like ideas and projects that I have that just work, that they just work. And I'm like, okay, you need a win every once in a while. But yeah, I mean, in the next 5 years, like I want to be able to continue to do what I do, but definitely at that point, just have like more of the educational side. Like at that point, I want the box to unfold. Like right now, I focus on doing one thing that I feel that I'm really good at, which is social media. And, over the years, I want to be able, as the audience grows or as, more people really commit to understanding what I do, just being able to unfold and be like, well, these are some of the other interests that I really like. And these are the other causes that really speak to me. And these are the things that I have gone through in my journey that, I want the next round of founders to just have it maybe just a little bit better. They're still going to go through a lot, but as long as they have it just a little bit better, I think that's, setting something up where it's like I'm able to either give back on some like mental health issue, like being able to have founders to have access to counseling or therapy and things like that. I think that's important as a founder because there's nothing in life that prepares you for the amount of isolation, loneliness, decision making, like all the type of stuff that you experience that, I mean, school doesn't really teach you how to run your own business if you're not pursuing that type of knowledge while you're there. So I think that having sort of resources in place in the community, I think that would be a really great thing for me to someday be a part of or create. And education, I think, is really important. And I think that you can learn in a classroom, you can learn on your own from watching videos, you can learn by just like getting a job and just doing it. I think we just have to, as a culture, just like acknowledge like, okay, people all learn differently. So how can, especially like moving forward, like how can I be a part of like either adding to like helping people validate what they know and putting some sort of like, this is what I can do. These are projects and these are people in my network who can vouch for me. So having like the brand that I have now expand to where it's like, okay, got the mental health check for community. We've got, the education part, because that really helped me when I was getting started, just knowing that I can, go to different people who may not be teachers, but they're like, they know their stuff. They can tell me some things, it won't come out like a traditional lesson, but, I'll learn a little something. And just moving forward, it's like, I mean, probably in 5 years, I hope I'll be onto another business, but I should say I'm open to just hopefully, and yeah, I should say definitely in 5 years, just be on to a new challenge, be solving a bigger problem.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So before we jump into our last segment, which is Boy Talk and Hop, is there anything else you want the community to know, or how can they follow you? What's your like Instagram handle and all of that information?
Yeah, so great questions so far. This has been a really great chat. On my social media is the same on all platforms. It's so THE Alex Hutchi. It's HUTCHI. So yeah, I'm on all social media. If I should say, I'm always open to hearing people's story or getting questions on like what you can do for your own brand, or if you're in sales, like how can you be better at sales? Like I'm always reading sales books. So if you want to nerd out about sales and cold calling, like I'm all for it because you can always get better in practice. And yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, just becoming, just really, sharing as much as I can about, becoming more confident in what I'm doing. So I think that's like, you're your own like critic when you're getting started. I should say you're really trying to figure out what is going to make you feel successful. And I think for a while when I was getting started, I really struggled with that. Like I just felt like I was just overworking myself and I was actually doing a good job. But it's like because I didn't have some sort of like system in my head to measure how well I was doing, I just kept working. And I'm just like, don't do that. Like figure out like a system of who you can talk to, who you can really openly share about what you're going through. And know that when you're getting started, you don't have to share if you don't want to. Like that's the thing. Like just because there's the internet, don't let the internet rush you. There are some things that I'm glad I didn't post online, meaning like because they were just so temporary. Like what I was going through was just so temporary. And just always remember that, like what you're feeling right now may not always be like the most truth that you could be experiencing. There might be some other perspective that you could be looking at your life, your situation. And I mean, I'm just thankful that when I explain to like school, like people, like when I speak to like people who are in school, like little kids, well, I love when I can explain to a little kid what I do and they're just like, whoa, that's amazing. Like, oh my God. I'm like, you're right. That is cool. Like from my perspective of like my inner child, what I'm doing right now is incredible. And I think sometimes it's all that matters. Like do something for your inner child, do something for your future self or the future family you want to make or the future community you want to build. Like make sure you're living your life every day where it's that incredible for yourself, surprise yourself.
Surprise yourself. I love it. Well, you're an incredible being, Alex,
Thank you.
and this is definitely an amazing conversation. So let's jump into Boy Talk and Hop. This is like a fill in the blank type of
Okay.
game that we're going to play. So I'm going to give you a phrase and you just give me whatever's on the end of that, whatever comes to your mind first. Don't be too critical on yourself. You got this.
Right.
You got this.
Yeah. All right. I'm good. I'm good. Ready.
So the first one is ownership is
showing up every day. Yeah.
Love
is patience, apologies, doing better habits, new habits. Yeah.
If you could spend the day with anyone and do anything, who would it be, dead or alive?
I would love to spend the day with Chrissy Teigen, cooking. I think that would be a lot of fun. She seems like a really fun person, and maybe like John Legend just playing the piano in the background. Just I don't know. We're just having a blast or something. I would love to. I mean, someday, who knows, I might do that. But yeah, I love to cook. So just having an opportunity to cook with creative, fun people, or like Janelle Monáe, it'd be cool to hang out with her and just like hang out and cook with her, or just hang out and cook for her. I don't know. Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, those are the two people I would like hang out with and just cook.
So my favorite food is, speaking of that,
I love vegan burgers. I love burgers and fries in general. Just I had to veganize it, so I'm plant-based. I love being plant-based, and it's food right now in the plant world is getting interesting and fun. So I feel like I'm not missing out on any of the flavors that I grew up with. I'm just like, eating a little bit healthier now. So I'm happy for that.
do you make your own vegan burgers? And if so, what do you put in them?
I don't make my own. I still enjoy to go out. But I should say one of my favorites. There's this one place in LA. What is it called? I mean, there's Earth Cafe, which is freaking bomb. I mean, I would go to Earth Cafe every day. I should say if I can get only one food delivery service, Earth, all day. I should say I really like that. And then I'm trying to think of like some other really nice places I've gone to. There's this really cool like farm to table restaurant that's here in St. Louis. That's really nice. They're like, I'm really a huge fan of like farm to table. So yeah, I mean, There's this other place called Utah Station that's really good, like fat vegan food, I would say.
You got a list.
I should say I love food, so I have to like work out more. But I mean, it allows me to eat like everything. But yeah, I mean, we were eating just like, rabbit food, like plants and vegetables. Like I get really hungry. So it's fun knowing that I can eat like a lot and I feel pretty good afterwards. But yeah, no, I love like food festivals, like the vegan street food festivals. I think San Diego has a really big one. But any little community, like there's big ones in Chicago, there's one in St. Louis, like any of the vegan food fairs, I'm like there, like trying all the stuffs because I'm like, I want to find the best sauce. Being a vegan, the secret is the sauce. If you have enough sauces, you can be vegan.
I love it.
Yeah.
So the next one is money is.
Money is a tool. It is medicine. It is money. There's a lot of it out there. A really good book that really made a big impact on me was called The Soul of Money. You can listen to it on YouTube. Check it out. It's a good book. It really does put the perspective of like, you want money, obviously. Like I should say it's natural to want money. Okay. Like, don't feel bad if you want money. If you want more money than your friends do, or you want more money than, somebody next to you, like, don't feel bad for wanting money. Like, don't, because it's pretty awesome. I mean, you can do some cool stuff. Like, money may not buy happiness. However, when I'm on my way to Paris and I'm going there just to hang out, like, that's freaking awesome, like, why not, So I think that when you start to realize, like, I guess sort of like put the empathy behind the money of like, there's people that need money to, live, like straight up, like they need aid, they need help. They have their set of like problems and solutions that they're looking for. Just as much as people with money, they also have their set of like concerns and problems and things that they're looking for. And sometimes like, not to say like, oh, sometimes it's not about the money, but like sometimes it is not about the money. Sometimes it's just the fulfillment of like, I got to do this and experience this in life. And I think that when I really made a switch from, instead of me like, oh, I'm just trying to like work a job and just like do things, it was more like, I'm just trying to experience as much as life has to offer as I am open to it. So if money is a part of crossing that bridge, figure out how to do it. Like, just don't limit yourself because, oh, I don't have enough money for this, or just go find it, mow some lawns, sell some stuff, figure out who needs help selling their stuff. Like, there's always like, when you commit to wanting to do something, you'll be surprised. Like, that stuff will open up for you. Like, it's like when I got a passport, never traveled before. As soon as I got that passport, trips started popping up everywhere. And I was using that passport. And I think it's kind of like that. Once you pick up a skill and you realize other people need that skill, they'll trade you. They'll pay you. Like that's the trade. You come help me save my time and I'll pay you. Yeah, that's it.
I say to that. Wellness is
wealth. Yeah. If you feel good, you'll do good. And it's important that you feel good doing what you're doing. And I think that's something to separate, that I've learned to separate from the business side of me and the existence part of me. So wellness is that balance. It's knowing that existing is fine, and that every challenge that I do set in front of myself is just the bigger picture of like what I want to experience. But it's like knowing how to let that go. Wellness is letting go. Yeah, let it go. It's not as big as you think, or yeah, there's so many things where I'm just like, oh no, like my world's crumbling. And then as soon as I share it, people are like, you're tripping over that, really? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I never thought about how that could be kind of silly. Or maybe you really are going through something, and you'll realize how many people would rather hear about your bad days than to hear that how about you're somewhere and you're really hurting. And, just we're all a part of this human experience, So that's, yeah, it's not bad to be human. Sometimes a lot of times I feel like I'm just going all the time. But then I realize I'm like, wait a minute, like my parents have been this age before. I can talk to them about stuff ish, or I should say a founder has been in year 1 before, year 5. Like I can talk to them about that. So I think it's just building for me, like with wellness as well, it was like I felt like I wasn't being listened to in a way that really helped. So I had to start listening to people in a way that really helped them. And I got that energy back in life. So I'm super thankful for all the stories that I've gotten to hear over the years from photography or just talking with people late night at bars or just conversations in public or something. And I think it's just, just listening to people. And I love it when you finish conversations and you have that feeling like, wow, like, thanks for listening. Like that, like, I really feel like you heard me. You really see me. I like that feeling just as much as I like being there and having that feeling for people. So I really keep that in mind when I'm like talking or meeting with people is like, I want them to feel like, I'm glad that we met kind of thing. But then sometimes I butcher that too. And I'm just like, well, I try. But yeah, I think it's important that I had to learn how to become a better listener because I felt like I really wanted to see that in the world. So yeah, wellness is listening. Wait. Oh yeah. Sitting, listening and waiting. Yeah.
So last but never least, Alex is.
Oh, Alex is fun. I like to have fun, and I dislike when I get super serious because when I get all upset and I'm just working all the time. But I like to have fun. I like to be light about it. It's gonna be okay, and I say that on like a level of like I feel it on a really deep level. Like the okayness is there. I'm going to be okay, and I think that my presence when I'm around people, I want them to feel that certain level of chill and okayness that I feel. And, I think a lot of that's coming out through my humor or the activities that I do or just sitting and just watching the world go by. I like to have fun. And I think the times where I've been the most miserable in life is when like I was not doing that. I was trying to like, I don't know, be something else because I felt like I needed to be more serious to get things done. I don't know. There's been times where I've just been done things. I'm just like, that was not me. Like I shouldn't have done that, But I think, yeah, it's just, I like to have fun. I also know when to turn that switch and, be accountable and show up and like do what I need to do. But I think at the end of the day, I just want to have fun. I love meeting people and, just try not to let life, beat the life out of you.
Thank you so much, Alex. This interview has been amazing. It's been amazing to get to know more about you. I'm definitely going to be reaching out to you to get a consultation on some of this media and marketing. And I just really appreciate the way you're thinking about not only doing the work, but making sure that you do work that you're aligned with, that brings you joy, and that really takes you to the next level of freeing yourself. Because I feel like that's what you're really doing, being able to travel the world, share your story, and do all of this. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for listening to my story. Yeah, I'm really thankful. Like this has been a life one of a kind. But yeah, I hope that everyone feels that they always have time to live their life and just baby steps. I mean, I didn't start off with booking flights to foreign places. I started small. I would just catch the bus in my own city and get comfortable being by myself, but not being lonely. So I think that's important. I think above all, a lot of things where my growth has really came from is being by myself and experiencing life just kind of like solo. But it's like when I come together or even just having this conversation now, I realized I was like, wow, like there's a lot that we can relate on. And like, yeah, like I would love to hear about your company and like all that you're trying to build because it's just baby steps. And who knows, you might have a piece to the puzzle that I'm looking for, or I may solve something for you. So I think if you look at life as a game, you'll discover the pieces that you need. So that's goes back to gaming.
There goes another gem to the audience community. I hope you're listening. Another gem from Alex.
This is Alex, and I'm born obviously incredible.
Thanks for listening to BOI Meets Wellness. Stay connected on and off the show by following us online at BOI Meets Wellness. That's boy with an I. Until next time, go be incredible.